Like-minded people.
The culture, the craft, the conversation. Welcome to Like-Minded People, the podcast. I'm Phil Fokus, a drum and bass artist with over 25 years of experience in the underground music scene. But more importantly, I'm a huge fan of MCs. This podcast takes a deep dive into the fascinating world of MCs from across the musical spectrum, hitting it from all angles, discussions, interviews, freestyles, and more. So if you share my love for MCs, or you're curious and want to find out more, you're in exactly the right place. Shout to all my mic-minded people locked in. I'm back with another episode. You know the drill, the culture, the craft, the conversation. And yeah, I've invited a special guest to come and join me for this episode. I've got Illmatika with me. And we're going to dive straight into it because I'm curious and I'm intrigued. So, bro, I want to know this. For us to understand the evolution of MC Illmatika to the DnB Soul Brother, where do we need to start in your story?
I mean, it's an interesting question. I mean, it's an interesting question, but I almost want to come back to you and say, where did that question actually come from?
Yeah, mate. Okay, I like this. This is a mic-minded people first, where the guest, I'm all about this. The guest is flipping it round. So yeah, big up. Okay, fair question. It came from me, I don't do like tons and tons of preparation for these podcasts because I just want it to be an organic conversation with fellow MCs, right?
Yeah.
But what I do like to do is listen to music. I'm not here like researching people on Wikipedia and stuff like that. So I sat down, I went into YouTube just looking for like early Illmatika stuff.
Yeah.
Went into Spotify, they're kind of like my go-tos for stuff. And the question almost just wrote itself. It just came into my mind because I was like, wow, okay, if you go back 17 years, you were doing this type of thing. And if we then fast forward to like now, 2025, you're on a very different path stylistically, all the stuff that you're doing, the people you're collaborating with. And of course, like a lot of your recent tracks start with you, like announcing to people, introing yourself as the DnB Soul Brother, and it's a statement, and I want to dip into it. So that's where it came from.
Cool, love that. Okay, right. So DnB Soul Brother came from, like, I'd say, evolving. I've had two kind of careers in drum and bass jungle. I would say the first side was heavily around pirate radio, Cool FM, running alongside kind of like, I'd say, brethrens in the game, which I think stylistically, when I look back on it, I think that there was a heavy influence on what I was doing at the time. So I think at the time it was really exciting maybe to run with brethrens or be part of a clique almost a bit. So what I would say is, like, at the time I was quite good friends. I mean, at the time I'm still friends with, but I was friends with Riddler, Curse MC, you know what I mean, Go Getters, and those guys. And those guys were heavy, they're like real heavy spitters, do you know what I mean? Energy, Aggie on the mic, hip hop vibes, and all of that. I was very much, my style was very much like, I say, my heavy influence coming through was MC Rhyme Time and MC Det, right? So those are the people that I connected with, like, when I was coming into the whole jungle game, because when I was first into hip hop, like, hip hop was me, like, just hip hop. And then I had a friend who was like, oh, this jungle thing, blah 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 blah. Started listening to it, and I'm like, yo, you can't really rap on this. But I was like, and at the time everyone was doing bashment. pure bashment MC. If people can remember, stylistically, bashment MCs were the thing. So
So just to clarify, brother, is this time that you're talking about here, hip hop and then discovering jungle and Cool FM and everything? Are you living in London at this point? Are you from London?
I'm from London, yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
And whereabouts did you grow up? What
I
part of
grew
London?
boy, I grew up. I'm stopping because part of my life, first like 7 years of my life was West London. Um, Family went back to Nigeria for some time. I came I came back into the UK for a few years. I lived in the countryside for about a few years, and then I came back to London, went to school in North London. So I went
What do you classify as the countryside?
countryside is Sussex, like Sussex,
Oh, okay.
East Sussex, Kent. That's the
Yeah.
countryside. So I lived in the countryside for a few years. Um, and then my family were back together in London, went to school in North London, and then from North London we moved to East London, and when we moved to East, I was still going to school school and then on to college in North London.
Okay.
So I've
Okay.
got a varied when it comes to London, very varied parts. So like musically, as the jungle thing was blowing, like I was right in the mix, like right in the mix of what was going on, like the grimy side of it, the real culture of what was going on.
Yeah, man. So back to hip hop then. So what kind of hip hop? I'm curious. Like, what kind of hip hop were you listening to? You said at that point hip hop was your music, the rap thing. Who were some of your favorite artists? Who was inspiring you, or who were you just listening to and enjoying listening to?
I had cousins, man, who put me on like really early. So cousins who were listening to Run DMC, um, Public Enemy was a really big thing for me those days as well. So like politically, like I was very up on the like conscious and meaningful stuff, like really, really early. And like if you check out some of my music, some of my releases, and even some of my how I am as a person, you will see it. Like you'll see it in my Instagram posts. I'm not that type of dude who likes to hear like nonsense. You won't hear like foolishness when it comes to lyrics from me um on the mic. And I think and even when I used to dabble a little bit in maybe a couple of like foolish stuff, it was very much like youthful exuberance, I reckon, at the time.
What's foolishness like? I think I understand what you mean, but I
Foolishness.
think it'd be
Oh,
cool
I'm
to
sorry.
like break down what you mean by like
No, 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 no. I
foolishness on the
like it.
mic. Like,
No, 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 no. I like it. Um, Foolishness for me is that MCs talking about stuff that they don't. You know what I mean, you know what I mean. They're not doing. Like foolishness, me for me would be like, oh, gunman talk and like you know what I mean, over sexualization of um of of girls. Um, Foolishness for me is using using racial terms within your music and then complaining using racial terms in your music and then complaining when other races use that same term that you're promoting. For me, me, that's foolishness. Other people say, "Oh, it's if we're going to talk about the N word and things like that, but oh, we're reclaiming it and all of that." To me, that's all BS. But that's just my
yeah.
opinion. That's my
Hey,
opinion. You know?
brother, that's really interesting to hear because hip hop obviously started Public Enemy, and they're of course not on that. That's the whole point of what you're saying. But
Yeah.
hip hop, of that era, and even now maybe, but hip hop of that era certainly was not. I was going to say the word littered. I don't like that word because it has like. I'm not saying it was rubbish, but
Mm.
there was a lot of what you just described as foolishness
Yeah.
was very rife within hip hop, right?
Yeah, no, I'm not 100%, and it's still rife, probably even more so now. People, what I mean, that's people use it as part of the culture. That's just how they talk, and I think that's heavily influenced and inspired by America. Um, that's US culture. It's really big on. So I feel it's corny when UK kind of like jumps onto it and does that, and I think it's corny. And I think that we was at a place within industry, our music industry, where we didn't really have an identity. Um, at the times that my cousins, and I'm talking real early on because I was around my cousins from age of, 9, 9, 10, 11. So I used to hear all my cousins used to be rapping and things like that. And I'm of the time that when they were rapping, they were all rapping in American accents. My cousins were. Do you know what I mean? They was all on that rapping in American accents, and like UK still didn't have an identity in the sense of like when people would rap in a UK accent, people would be like looking at them like it's a bit odd, or it's a little bit whack. But when London Posse kind of came through to change up the game a little bit, um, that was all good. But I still think like that scene was still small and weren't impacting on a global massive scale. So when Jungle came along, and I think that our generation who wanted to be artists, who wanted to be MCs, who wanted to be rappers, right? Let's get it right. They wanted to be rappers. So when Jungle came along and you could get a mic and you could express yourself on the mic over those beats in an English accent, that's when you had a wave of people flock to the rave scene for that. London boys wanted to rap, and then there was a means to do it and be a mic man on these beats. So that's why I believe that people approach this music in different ways. Some are like, "Oh yeah, man, it's all about the music. It's this and that." Yeah, you're right. It is about the music as well. But you've also got a wave and a culture that came in who was like, "Yeah, mic man business. These are beats I can do this on."
How much of an influence did your sound system culture play on that? Because we've come into the jungle and everything you just said then about like UK people wanting to get on the mic, but we're kind of gone into it from the rap end of the spectrum. How much did like Saxon Sound and all the other wealth of sound systems in London and other big cities? What how do you think that sound system culture inspired or fed into the emergence of jungle MCs?
I think it fed into it massively. Um, but I would say that it fed into it massively with the obviously with the first tier of generation of MCs who went. So the first tier of your Ragga Twins, your Navigator, um, Fats, um, them man, GQ, all of those guys, yeah. These
Moose and Fivo as well, innit?
Moose and Fivo, right? Like these guys are Caribbean guys. Their culture is that. So they're bringing that feeds in, and that feeds into jungle, right? Those those guys, right? But the next tier of generations of guys coming through. Some of them are like, for me, like I'm I'm from an African household, right? So my parents are not playing Saxon sound in my house. Do you get me? They're not. That's not what they're playing.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
and my cousins are not necessarily listening to Saxon sound either. But they're listening to hip hop. You know what I mean? They're listening to hip hop. They're listening to soul, Michael Jackson, and all of that. So when I come into the game, I'm not coming in with a patois, a patois delivery. I'm not coming with a patois delivery because I'm Nigerian. Do you get me?
Yeah.
I'll
Bruv,
have
this mate, do you know what? I've got to be honest, right? I'm not really I love the way you're breaking this down because this is I'm not really in some respects, I have thought about this because I'm always thinking about the origins and evolution of MCing in sort of generalized terms. But I think I've placed a lot of emphasis in my own mind and in conversations I've had on the importance of the sound system culture.
yeah,
But yeah, do you know what? What you're saying now makes a lot of sense to me, and I think I've maybe overlooked the importance of rap, or just what you're saying about how like UK rappers felt like they didn't really have an identity because it was essentially like everyone will say hip hop, rap, whatever is an American culture
yeah,
that we've kind of adopted, right? But it would always be an American thing. Whereas now, as we're talking about the birth of jungle, boom, like for the first time, UK MCs, let's say, have got this identity that they can really grip hold of. But yeah, to hear you break it down from the rap perspective is really interesting, man.
let me let me just give you like an example, right? MC Rhyme Time, very much more of a rap type of MC at that time. So his style was that, okay? Like, and we're bringing it down to culture as well. Culture, a lot of the can I say Anglo-Saxon or can I say white MCs? A lot of the white MC,
Yes,
a lot of the white,
whatever you prefer, mate.
yeah, a lot of the white MCs again. Culture, they're not. They're
Anglo-Saxon, Anglo-Saxon don't sound right. I think go with white.
yeah. Let's go with white. Let's take the Anglo-Saxon out in the edit. Right. A lot of the okay, let's say I don't even really need to say white MCs there, but I guess a lot of the MCs who are not from the Jamaican Caribbean households, yeah, they're not coming into the get. I mean, there's exceptions, Shabba, but they're not coming into the game with right. I'm coming into bus patois. Most of them were like, a lot of them were like hip hop heads again, and they gravitated and got their style, was which felt comfortable for them, kind of like from the hip hop kind of perspective. So you've got people like yourself, your SP, um, Too Shy, you know, uh who else am I going to be thinking about? Anyway, there's a particular style that those MCs took on who are not doing the ragga and the bashment type of style. And then that style even got I mean that style got popular. Again, IC3, Skibbity, they're not Jamaican, you know what I mean? Ghanaian guys. So their styles are more kind of like rappy, not so much patois again. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
I mean Skibber was really the one of the first, if not the first, to really bring that kind of London grammar slang into it and talking about the cars and the computer games and the he did that, didn't he? Do you know what I mean?
Uh,
Is that fair to say?
I wouldn't say that he's like back to going back to the time. I wouldn't say that he was the first. I would say that he was a leader in terms of when it became real popular and being the next generation of MCs. I feel like on the streets and on the roads at that time, that style was being developed by a numerous amount of MCs. But
Yeah.
when
Like who?
um loads of MCs at the time. Um I mean you've got me there by saying that.
I'll put you on the spot.
You put me on the spot. But what I guess I'm trying to say is that at the time, if you was listening to pirate stations at the time, which were not Cool FM, a lot of that stuff was already going on. Them time
Yeah, yeah. I understand what you mean.
them times I could tell you right now, and I'd have to get a witness. My witness would be Rips DJ. Them times, even I had a car lyric at the time on Kick FM 92.3. I had this car lyric called you know, oh, right by the mic like Fear Uno, oh, now I get crazy, right by the mic like Mercedes, da, da, da. And I used to bust that lyric. And then one time I heard uh Skibbity on Cool busting the lyric. He's on Cool FM. He's already the most popular guy out there. No one.
Yeah. But did you feel you had to drop it out after that
Oh
then?
yeah, of course I had to drop it. I had to stop that lyric because from now people be telling me that I'm biting. You know, and sometimes these things happen, like, you know, it always happens. You have an idea and people will have a similar kind of idea and you're like, oh gosh, can I still do it? Or people, but I think genuinely, if you know that you didn't bite the person, then it's up to you. You can carry on doing what you're doing and not really caring. I don't know where we're going with this conversation at the moment, but
No, where we're going is a, a curious exploration of your timeline, basically, bruv.
yeah, yeah,
That's it. Because what we started off talking about was, you know, MC Illmatika. And really we've dived into it from, and this is why I was keen to not necessarily just start the conversation by saying, right, bro, take me back to when you first started MCing.
yeah,
I was curious to see like how you might want to approach it. And this is great because it's organic, it's natural. So we're really talking about young ill. Well, no, look, this is the precursor to Illmatica. So you being introduced to hip hop by your cousins, then you discover jungle
yeah,
through Cool FM.
yeah. Through Cool FM. Um,
Have you picked up the mic at this point? At what point did you realise that you are more than simply a fan and a listener of this rap slash MC thing?
think straight away. I think I was like straight in because my friend at the time, I mean, still my friend to this day. My friend, um, different levels. His name is different levels. The producer of the Stevie Hyper D album. So he was like in secondary school. We took like a 4 track at the time back to his house, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm trying to be a producer and all of this stuff," and I was like, "Boy, I'm trying to rap and all of that." And I'd written my first 16 like in business studies, and I had a couple of other 16s, and then I had this House of Pain, uh, House of Pain of lyric that I'd listened to so much and written down into a lyric book, and tried to pretend that those bars were mine. So anyway, so I went to his house and he had a couple of shitty beats at that time, and you know I was trying to get on the hip, just on the hip hop thing. You know, what I mean, I told you about my cousins and all of that type of stuff. So I was trying to get up on the hip hop thing. So we was like that for some months, and then he'd got into Cool FM. So he came at the time, like I think was it either school or college, I can't remember. He gives me his earphones. He's like, listen to this, and I was like listening. and I was like not too sure about what it was. Um, and then there was a tune that I gravitated to by MB. I think it was Style. Um, yeah, I think it was Style. And then there was more of a bashment type of thing. And then when I started hearing more of the kind of like bashment elements, the hip hop elements, and all of that to jungle, I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I can get into this. And then from that, we started doing demo. We started just doing radio tapes every week in his house. Like every Friday, it was like, yeah, going to his house within a 3 hour recording, just straight all the time, pretending we're on radio.
So was he a DJ then? Was someone mixing, or
Yeah,
what
yeah,
was
he
the
was
where was
like,
the music
he
coming
was
from?
learning, like, he was also producing and learning how to DJ as well at the time. So, you know what I mean? He had these sound lab decks and a mixer, um, got the microphone, and from there, I was like, we're pretending we're on radio. We're on this, called it Sublo. We called it Sublo FM, and yo, we just like a bunch of people from school, college would come up. Couple of girls that who were our brethrens, couple of dudes would come up, and that would be the thing every Friday. That was the learning ground.
That's bruv, that sounds like good fun. I'd quite like to just do that now, to be honest.
Yeah,
Just pretend you're on the radio, get everyone round, get the vibe going in the room.
man. Hundred
That
percent.
sounds good.
So then I done a so basically then um I was in Hackney one day, and I was getting my hair cut, and I was talking to this guy who was cutting my hair, and it was like, oh, what you into and stuff like that. I was like, oh, do you like jungle and all that? I was like, yeah, man, like it. I goes like, me and my friend, we regularly make like kind of little bedroom tapes and all of that. And the guy was like, oh yeah, I'm on Weekend Rush. And I was like, oh, see, I was like, oh yeah, I'd love to get on a pirate radio station. And he was like, yeah, man. He goes, do a demo tape, um, bring it to me, and I'll see what I can do. So at the time, I bought him the demo tape. Weekend Rush then went off air, and then it came back as Kick FM on 92.3, and then they were like, "Yo, yeah, we like your demo tape. Come up on Kick FM with me." The guy's name was Val Pacino, and he always and his name was Val Pacino, and he ran with kind of like Papa G at the time, and his brother Junglis was on there as well. And then yeah, then I was on 923 radio straight away. My brethren didn't want to come on pirate radio because his mum was like, ah, mate, it's illegal and all of that. And then was just running up Hackney, Arcola Street, Dalston every week. Yeah, and I weren't called Illmatika yet. Then I was MC Rough at the time.
See, right, yeah, he literally read my mind, mate. I was gonna wait. I was gonna wait for a pause in the conversation. Say, so by this point, are you Illmatika? So you're MC Rough,
MC Rough.
yeah? Are you double F, ROUGH? What were you going
Yeah,
with?
RUFF. Rough. MC Rough, because them times there rough was the slang that was named. That's rough, man. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's rough, man.
Come on.
So rough was the slang. So I was MC Rough.
And when was your first? Do you remember like the first, like the slot that you had when you joined Kick FM? Like your first slot
Yeah.
time that you were playing?
Um, I think it was either something like, I think it was like a Friday 8 till 10, something like that, 8 p.m. till 10. It was like it was a prime time slot, but like in hindsight, I weren't ready for it yet.
Gonna say that's a good time. I thought you were gonna say like,
Graveyard.
anecdotally, people come on the station and they're, oh right, yeah, you're on like 4 till 6 a.m. or
Yeah,
something.
no. Straight in because like Val Pacino and like Papa G were like kind of like known as kind of like the top boys, one of the like kind of like top boys on the station at the time, and the station was new. Some people from Rush had gone to Cool FM. Um, yeah, and let me tell you, it was so new. Shabba had not even gone to Cool FM yet. Shabba had not gone to Cool yet. Shabba was still Shabba was still floating about. So Shabba kind of like was still on Kick FM for a little bit. And that was the first time, that was the time that I knew about levels in the sense of that I weren't ready. I thought I was ready. Shabba came back to back with me, right, on the station. And I realized, yo, I ain't ready yet. Like, he showed me levels when he came back to back with me. Like, he came back to back to me with me. Like, the phone line was warm while I was on. Shabba turned up, went back to back. The phone line went absolutely nuts, like crazy. And I'm saying like this is Shabba raw. I'm talking like raw MC Shabba from around Dalston times comes in with his cap, boom boom Shabba lyrical dabba. When I'm on the mic, I deal with him. I'm like.
And that was what was so sick about Pirate, wasn't it? The phone line was your instant reaction connection. The phone line just goes mad.
100%.
And you don't get that anymore with radio and live streams and stuff. But yeah, that era with the phone line popping,
Yeah.
I can imagine that was crazy. So, but yeah, like you're there to cut your teeth, right? You're there to earn your stripes. You're dedicated. You're committed to the station. So, what do you feel like was the next significant thing from joining Kick? Well, when did you become Illmatika then? When did the name change happen?
The name change. Okay, so the name change started. I think was it 97 or 98. So Stevie Hyper D died. I think the same weekend Stevie Hyper D died. I don't know if it was the same weekend or the weekend before or after, something like that. There was another MC Ruff that was in hardcore. He
Yeah.
had some affiliation with Prodigy, and now them days, gosh, I'm really going back in time, man, with some of the stuff. So I used to run with right. So I told you before I used to run with Riddler, right? We was on a station in South called Flight FM, and this MC Ruff called up the station to speak to Riddler, saying, "Yo, who's this other MC Ruff?" Like, and all of that, right? Like I shouldn't be called MC Ruff or whatever. But like me being young at the time, I was like, whatever. This guy's in hardcore. He's in hardcore. So I was like, okay, whatever. You're in hardcore. I'm in like jungle drum and bass. What's the problem? This is just me being young and being a bit of an idiot. But I didn't really realize the gravity of it all. Anyway, when he passed away, um, and I had a booking in Brighton. Um, Someone goes, no, let me tell this story properly. Okay, so I had a booking in Brighton, and then somebody come up to me and was like, "Oh, I thought it was the other MC Ruff." Boom, 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 and then I saw someone and they was like, "Oh, we thought that you'd passed away because we heard MC Ruff had died." You know, like this is the time before internet and all of that type of stuff. So if you hear someone's dead, MC Ruff, you just automatically. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna call myself Illmatic Ruff because Nas's album was my favorite album of all time. So I was like, yo, Illmatic Ruff, that's gonna be the name. So it was Illmatic Ruff. So I ran with Illmatic Ruff for a couple of years, and then I was like, let me drop the Ruff altogether because that sounds a bit dead. So I was like, Illmatic R. I was like that, Illmatic R. And then I started getting serious about making tunes, and I was like, do you know what? I'm gonna turn this thing into like you see, like Metallica, yeah, Metallica. I was like, yo, Illmatica, like that. Boom, K, Illmatica with a K, bang. And then like my friend had done some artwork for me, which made it like look a bit gothic and a bit rock. And I was like, yeah, Illmatica is the name. And I think the Illmatica as a name, I started to think of myself as more than just an MC. I thought of myself as an artist, and I would talk like
Yeah.
that around people. I'd be like, yeah, MCing's cool, but I'm an artist.
Yeah, that shift in your mindset. What do you think influenced that? Was that just like a penny drop moment, or were you watching, not in an imitator way? I just mean like, were you watching or modeling yourself on other people, or inspired by other people that were doing what you felt was something slightly different
Um,
with their skill set?
yeah, no, I think what influenced kind of me in that way is that I'll tell you about I've told you about my friend who we went to school together, and you know what I mean, was the one who inspired me at the time. Also, he was where he decided not to come onto pirate radio. He was concentrating on being linked up with Stevie Hyper D, right? So he'd been linked up with Stevie Hyper D. Imagine I had been started to make tunes with my friends, and all of a sudden, the biggest MC in jungle drum and bass is now in and around us these as these teenagers, and he'd started to go that route of right making an album for Stevie Hyper D and for them to go on tour and everything afterwards. So my I'd already had the mindset of like, yo, let's turn this jungle drum and bass beats thing into just making tunes. So that's I'd already started thinking to myself as an artist and silently thinking to myself, yo, if those guys are really successful, boom, 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 there's some doors which are already open for me.
Yeah.
So I had that vision from there. And what's really funny about it is that I had that vision and all of that kind of this is pre-grime and everything and all of that, that already had the vision of vocals on drum and bass from then. But the hardest thing is that I was thinking like full vocal drum and bass rap and all of that type of thing, but there was no avenue them days for it. They weren't into it. The drum and bass DJs those days, the ears, if you gave them those tunes, them days, I mean, still even now it's hard, but it's changed a lot. But them days, you give them the tune, they're like UK sounding voice. They're not. This is before grime as well, you know. UK sounding voice. Give me something that's got an American twang on it. Their ears were still in tune to that with a jungle or drum and bass beat. UK wise, they're not really messing with us.
So what was the first tune that you made in terms of DnB? You know, putting vocals on a DnB track like we're talking about. When did you first do that?
My very first tune, and I my very first tune was Fluid.
Oh, funny you should say that. 2007. I've got that written down as.
Got that?
And my
Yeah, no. But you got it written down as 2007. But I made the tune in 1999.
You're kidding? Really?
I'm not joking. We made
Wow.
we made basically what happened is that we made it, but we didn't finish it. We kind of like we made it, we left it, and then about I think it was about 3 or 4 years later, went back into the tune, revocaled it, um, revocaled it, and kind of I think I left it. Yeah, revocaled it. I left it there for a little bit, and it saw the light of day when I was like, do you know what Channel U was about? And I was like, you know what? I'm getting this on. I'm going to do a video and I'm going to put it on Channel U.
I remember, and genuinely, I'm not just saying this, I remember seeing this on Channel U, and I hadn't met you by this point.
Yeah.
So my introduction to Illmatika was, boom, sitting there, probably really stoned, watching Channel U endlessly, and it's like, wow, what's this?
Yeah.
So when I went on YouTube this morning and stuck the Fluid video on, and I was like, geez, man, I remember this. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to hear like the what all the steps that happened before we got to this moment, and then you bring out, and not only are you putting vocals on beats, you're making videos.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people were doing that, and especially in drum and bass.
Especially in drum and bass. When I put Fluid out, I'll tell you now, I had about probably about 8 or 9 tunes, 8 or 9 tunes of a similar kind of like ilk of like Fluid, of Fluid kind of vibes, rapping, singing, all of that. I had all of that back then, but you just didn't have the I didn't have the ecosystem to make it work for me. So first of all, nobody else at the time was really doing it other than like your I think Represent, Ronnie Size thing. They what I mean, they had gone and blown on that, but nobody else was. Drum and bass DJs are not going to play it. I'm not big enough in the scene, in a sense, as an MC to have the kind of like influence. I'm not released on a major label, so it's almost like a little independent uh young guy in his real early 20s has got this tune, which in a sense I stuck it in amongst all of the grime stuff that was coming out for the first time on Channel U, and it stuck out like a sore thumb in a sense because it weren't completely grime. Some people thought it was grime, but it weren't completely grime. But the drum and bass heads who knew, who had the ear for it, recognized that it was a drum and bass breakbeat, and because there weren't many drum and bass things on there, it's like I had a little kind of stardom in a sense. And it's like I'll go to places. I could remember going to Cardiff and one guy stopping me and going, "Yo," he goes, "You look like this. You got a video on Channel U." I'm fucking. He goes, "Yo, I fucking love that video, man. I love it. That like there's not many drum and bass stuff on it." And at the time, you know, I mean, I remember like X-Man and Fun and those guys. A lot of those guys were bigging me up at the time for being one of the first, and I think it was one of the first drum and bass full vocal tracks on Channel U at the time.
Yeah, very, very forward thinking. And obviously it was, like you just kind of alluded to, really good for your profile. Good to get the name out there and the artistry out there.
Yeah.
Silly little question, but do you remember the number of the, on Channel U used to have like numbers for each video that you would tap in. Can you remember what number it was?
I think it was 619. I think I think it was 619, I think. Yeah.
I remember, honestly, I remember seeing it, man. So yeah, big up for doing that. Just like in a nutshell, maybe just a quick overview. But I'm interested, and I think listeners would be interested. Like, how did at that time, given that this is like way before, there's no like proper. Maybe there was like MySpace and stuff, but like social media is nowhere near what it is now. There's no Spotify and all this kind of thing. So Channel U was like a real groundbreaking thing. But yeah, what was the process of like? How easy was it for you to get a video that you've more or less made off your own back onto Channel U?
Um, I think you had to upload. I think Channel U had some type of they had some type of website, and you had to basically upload the video to the. It's simple as uploading the video to the website, and then they will come back to you if they've. I think you had to pay like a booking process for submission. I think I might be wrong,
Yeah.
but I think you had to pay some type of fee for submission and stuff like that. And then they
And I'm assuming there was some kind of like QC process. It's not like they just put like if anyone that uploaded something, it definitely guaranteed to get on the channel.
100% not, 100% not at all. So anyway, so I'd done that, and then yeah, when I got the email back, like, yeah, man, we're gonna. But I was like, oh, I was so. I remember feeling like really gassed about it because it was like an independent you know what I mean, real sense of, yo, independence of like, yo, I've decided to, there's no ecosystem for this to work. Okay, I'm going to put this video on, and you know what I mean? I spent £500 on that video, which then £500 was a lot of money to
That's a lot of money, bruv. Yeah,
Yes,
definitely,
a lot of
man.
money now, but Ben was
Yeah.
even more. Like I spent £500, got the video together. It's now going on TV, and yeah, man, that really helped me in terms of my profile on the radio that I was on. I think I was on worldwide at them times. I think drum and bass worldwide helped with that.
Yeah, and I've got a feeling like that's how me and you we definitely crossed paths at that time because drum and bass worldwide was Rips, right?
Yeah,
That was his thing.
that was real.
And yeah, I can't remember exactly where and when we first crossed paths, but it was certainly around that era of drum and bass worldwide.
Yeah, I think I think the first time that I saw you was a rave in Brixton, and can't remember the name of the rave, but I remember the flyer. It was this odd bird.
Oh,
Odd,
yeah, Brixton Telegraph.
was it Brixton Telegraph?
Brixton Telegraph. Yeah, man. Yeah, mate, I've got the flyer still on it. It has got a bird on it. Yeah, it's Brixton Telegraph at
Yeah.
the top of Brixton Hill.
Yes.
And it was a night called Backdrop.
Drop. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, big up, man. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
spot on.
that's it. Backdrop. And I can't remember whether there was this guy I knew at Point Blank. I think it's Point Blank Association, who used to do kind of like music classes and that for kids. He got me the booking somehow. I don't know, can't remember whether it was his rave or not. I can't even remember. But that was the first
Yeah,
time
man.
that I think I'd come across you. I remember seeing Focus on the lineup, then I saw you in the rave as well. I was like, oh, okay, cool guy. All right.
So look, I love the way this is unfolding. So you've gone from, the pirate radio end of the spectrum, a pirate MC, obviously that's in your blood, right? You've cut your teeth there. You're rolling with people like Riddler and Curse and Junglist. Then there's the next phase, if you like, of the blueprint of Illmatika is obviously the name change. But then, yeah, big achievement, getting your video on Channel U. And now you've got this mindset of it's more than just picking up a mic and spitting. It's now artistry, it's songs. So what? And of course, like almost like looping back round to the very initial question I asked you at the beginning of the pod is, we're on this evolution here. towards the DnB Soul Brother.
Yeah.
So where does it go next?
So I think that like the music like had started to sound really shit. Like the music was just like was really noisy. I mean, and it was getting harder and harder, I feel, really drop um to really drop bars um on drum and bass. And I think the music had just like it got I think it got a little bit ridiculous. Um and I think like drum and bass, I think it was going through one of those cycles as well where drum and bass weren't that popular. And I think I was on call and I'd done this cover. I don't know how, but I'd done this cover show. I started kind of like rolling with Devious D for a little bit, but then like this guy called Desert Rat asked me to do his show, and Desert Rat played Liquid. Now this is around kind of like 2010, 2011 times. So I jumped on the show and like it was like like playing like soulful stuff. I'm I'm bringing out the bars. It's easy to hear the bars. It's bringing me back to that kind of like R&B hip hop kind of vibes. And I just kind of like had a light bulb moment that the whole Liquid sound at first when it was coming through, when I was going through my kind of like rude boy rolling with crews kind of status, I kind of like was like, ah, Liquid, nah. But I'd never really taken time to really check it properly. And actually, the whole kind of like Liquid and the almost like the minimal even sound suited actually my style. And I felt like I'd been operating in a place actually that my style didn't really like I could survive there, but it wasn't really the thing that bam, like was setting me above anybody else. It was like I'm operating cool, I'm getting bookings and all of that. So I started doing more and more Liquid shows on Cool FM. But at the time also that I was doing that, I was kind of like going through like stuff in my life as well. And I think a bit of a like kind of a spiritual kind of journey also in my life. And I was like, with that, I chose that as more important than music in terms of where I was going and how I was feeling as a human being at the time. And then I decided I remember being at a rave. I was at a rave in Camden, and I think Ragga Twins were there. It was a Devious D birthday party and all that. And I said to him, I said, "This is my last rave." I said, "Yeah, this is my last. This is my last rave. I'm not doing this anymore." So I put the mic down, and I decided to like embark on this kind of like different journey. But I felt that I didn't need music as a distraction. So over the period of like say 2011 to 2000 I'd say 2017, I would only come back and maybe do like one rave. I'd do like one rave a year, and it was usually like a Renegade Hardware when Clayton like Clayton would call me and say, "Yeah, do you want to come and do hardware?" And I'd say, "Yep, I'll take that little bit of money." And I'd come in, I'd host something quickly, and then you wouldn't see me about. So that was a whole vacuum of me not being about. So then when I also went through like this traumatic experience in my life as well around 2017, and I was kind of like in this kind of state of depression for a while. and nothing was pulling me out of it. And um, I think something happened, and I said, "Yo, I'm gonna pick up the mic. I'm gonna pick up the mic again." And I said, "This time I'm going on a run where I'm targeting putting out music on one of those big labels. I'm gonna be more popular. I'm more popular than I've been previously, and I'm really going out to make a mark this time because I feel like I'd, I mean, I'd done my thing before, but I didn't feel like I had made a proper mark. People knew me, but not everybody knew who I was.
Do you think? I mean, maybe this is just from a point of reflection, but do you think, even looking back now, that it just that kind of first phase of your career, as you described it earlier, it wasn't aligned anymore with who you were as a person. It wasn't quite clicking, and you needed some time away to kind of find like who you really are, what you're really all about, what really connects on a way that actually gives you fulfillment. And rather than just like, oh yeah, I'm an MC that just spits over any beats, it's like it's not that anymore. I need something more than that.
100%. And I think from early, but I don't think that I ever was that just MC who just spits over beats. I think from very early, but I don't think that there was the environment to accommodate that yet. For me, I don't the environment wasn't there to accommodate. It was almost like I was about even 15, 20 years ahead of ahead of my time. And
Yeah, it sounds a bit like you actually thinking about it. It sounds like you knew what you were all about to a certain degree anyway. But the environment or even like the music within that environment wasn't really reflecting
no,
the opportunities for you to properly express it weren't quite making themselves clear to you at that point. They hadn't shown themselves to you.
yeah, 100%. So when I came back, I was like, right, this is going to be a little bit like it's going to be a bit different now. I know who I am. I know what I'm about. Very much. My in terms of like my spiritual journey, I knew what I want to talk about. I know what I don't want to talk about. So I know the vibe that I'm going for straight away. So I was like, boom. I was like, yo, Mr. Joseph. Like he used to book me for some raves and he's the producer, but I liked all of his stuff. All of his stuff is very much, you might as well call it hip hop, R&B influenced drum and bass, like samples right up my alley. All of that was him. So I was like, "Yo, you got any beats?" And he was like, "Yeah." He goes like, "Cool, I'll send you a couple." So the first one that he sent me, bad tune, wicked tune. I was like, "Okay, I got this." Um, at the time, I was out of work, so listened to the tune, put it together. I think at the time I was inspired by this common track, and I said, "What if I done this? What if I used this similar idea and applied it to drum and bass?" And that's where my track, Her Name Is, came about. Made that track again, and it was, do you know what I mean? It was full circle. Person who recorded the vocals for me, still again was my guy, different levels from back in the day. He was working at this he was working in this I can't remember the name of the company, but again, it's another one of those companies who helps kids and everything in terms of music. So once he'd finished his day, he was like, "All right, come, I'll give you half an hour to record these vocals." So I recorded the vocals, sent them back to Joseph. He fixed them up nice, and And then I was like, right, what am I going to be doing differently than what I did last time when having a tune? And that I said, to certify this, it needs to go on one of those big labels. Right. Strategically, I knew that Joseph had already put out stuff on Liquid V, right? So that's my door in. All I have to do now is convince Brian G that it's good enough to get signed. Right, okay. I didn't go to Brian G straight away. Hit up Jumping Jack Frost. I was like, oh, I got this tune, man. Da, 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 da. Hope you can listen to it and that. And the funny thing is, knowing both of Jumping Jack Frost and Brian G's characters now, the person the person really that I should have been going to first would be Brian G. Because Frost is cool, is lovable guy, but like you'd want to go to Brian at first, actually. But actually, Frost came back, was like, listen, that's a good tune, you know? He goes, I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna play it at this event, Boxing Day. I was like, yeah? I said, right. I'm down at that event. Called one of my brethren, played it as he said he was gonna. Played it. It was his first tune. I was like, rah. Tune's got played. It's in the dance now. Um, I I was bold. I went straight up to Brian G. I said, yeah. I goes, did you hear that tune that Frost played? He was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. He goes, yeah, yeah, what, the intro one? He goes, what, that hip hop jazzy type sounding thing? I goes, yeah, yeah. I goes, yeah. I said, that's my tune. I goes, what do you think? He goes, oh yeah, tune's all right. It's a tune. I said, all right. He goes, yeah, yeah. He goes, all right. I goes, can I take your number? Took his number and then I pestered him for at least 2 to 3 months. I pestered him. Like, first time he didn't pick up his phone, second time didn't pick up his phone, another time left a voice message, spoke to him again, and he was like, all right, listen, we've got this compilation coming up. I think it might be okay for this compilation that we're doing. And then the tune came out was I think it was probably like the lead track on the compilation, because I was like, all of the other tracks on the compilation were coming out, but I said my track's gonna have a video. I said my track's having a video. I've got the vision for it. The video's happening. I didn't even tell them that I'm doing the video. I just done it. I done the video. I said, here's the video. And they were like, all right. Then bang, it hit. And then from there, I think the trajectory, I kind of realized where I was at. And I think I've left something out of the story, you know. I think even that time, actually, when I was coming back, I actually was doing stuff with your crew a bit, actually. The DBR guys. I done a
Yeah.
few radio shows.
Because you came down to Luton, didn't you? And we did the radio
And we
together.
done the radio together. You came,
Yeah, man.
yeah, I came down to Luke. So around that time, and I remembered kind of like doing stuff. I think I'd done a few shows with them, and I was like, this minimal stuff is not like pre. Do you know what I mean? Some time has elapsed. Remember, I'm out of the game for about 5, 6 years. So I'm like, yo, this kind of like minimal, kind of liquidy, kind of this vibe suits my style. Do you know what I mean? It suits my style a lot more. So I kind of went on that wave of like kind of dipping my toes into that kind of area. I was doing stuff with Rebel Music were doing raves, so I started to do their raves. V was doing their thing. I was starting to get on more V raves, and then I think over the last 6, 7 years, I feel like my trajectory has just gone, and it continues to move that. I started to do more kind of like jungly type of raves recently, but what I did know straight away was that the kind of like the subgenre of kind of like jump up side was was not for me. It's not for my style. And the ending of 2011, that was the area I was kind of like I was dwelling in. I was in that kind of space, and like while I was in that space, I was like just in that space, and I weren't really. I was doing stuff, but I weren't really doing stuff. I weren't moving. Whereas it took the kind of break to actually find. Actually, I don't. I don't think I was actually supposed to be over there. I was supposed to be over here.
Yeah, this is fascinating for me because I kind of know this stuff from the outside looking in, just as someone who's involved in the scene, kind of knew you a little bit, but
Mm.
not that well, and just seeing like where you're popping up, what raves you're at, what music you're putting out. I didn't actually know that you'd taken that period that you've described.
Yeah,
I didn't realize you'd taken a break,
yeah,
and I think there's so many lessons in what you're saying. Of like your, I mean, for the purpose of me to refer to it, let's just call it like your comeback.
yeah,
Right, your comeback, that's wild because you know, like that says a lot about your mentality and your mindset, right? Because some people, and of course everyone's unique, but some people might be a bit like, oh, I've been out the game for like 5 6 years,
yeah,
I'm going to ease myself back into it, like find my feet. You basically, boom, make a tune and say, this is coming out on Liquid V. And then you're on the phone to Frost and Brian G, like, you know, proper OGs of the scene. And then even though Frost has played your tune, and I think it's important for people that are interested in the music scene to understand these kind of things, even though Frost had played it, you then still have to like show that persistence with Brian G on the phone, phoning him a couple of times a week or what, month after month. Brian. Do you know what I mean? Like to do all of that, having not been in the scene for 6 years. That's yeah, like I said, that's fascinating, man.
yeah. I think with people, um, I'm a big believer of like your mindset. Once you've made a decision to do something, like there's doing something, and then there's the making this a real decision. Like this is what I'm trying to do. This is where I'm trying to go. Um, I'm not trying to do no middleman. I was like, I'm not trying to do no middleman thing here either. Like, I'm not trying to hear, hey, you, hey, Mr. Joseph, give my tune to Brian G. Oh, I'm going to Brian G myself.
Yeah.
I need Brian G to tell me no. If Brian G tells me no, then okay, that's fine. Like with that, her name is track. It went to who did I send it to? I sent it to gosh, Hospital, and man, I can't remember this guy's name. Fuck. So annoying. Anyway, another guy listened to the tune and he was like, oh, this is oh yeah, I like the tune, but I think the producer could do this, I think he could do that, and you know, these levels are not so much, and you know, blah 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 blah. And that's cool. Like that's cool. That's your opinion of it. But what I learned from it is that sometimes some opinions are opinions. Like I could have listened to those opinions and said, okay, I need to go back to the drawing board with this tune. But I knew that the tune was a winner anyway. And I was like, if any of these guys don't take this tune, you know what? Things have changed. I'm gonna do it myself anyway. And I think that's what's opened up for us as mic-minded people, as lyricists and things like that now, is that I had tapered the line where I've watched the whole scene change around me where like I'd had the product from early, like drum and bass wise. If you want to talk about like grime and all that, my like grime and everything, like I had the product and formula from early, but there was no ecosystem for it. But now the whole game has changed. All of these new cats coming through now, lyricists on drum and bass. Do your thing, man. Make a video, put it out. I'm hearing people now are just saying, "Fuck labels, man. I'm not even. I'm not fuck them. If I want to put out a tune week to week with visuals now, I'm gonna do it because I can."
Yeah, man. Direct to consumer.
I
I
read.
listened to a really interesting talk that Crust was giving about this, but yeah, like direct to consumer, self sufficient, independent. That self belief. That's what I'm hearing from you.
Yes, believe.
Channel U mentality, right?
Sorry, channel
Channel
U.
U
Yeah, channel
mentality.
U mentality all day, man. See, yeah, bro. So, so I think so that brings us up to. I mean, there's loads of stuff I could go into, but that brings us up to like present day in terms of I went on a run from about 2018 of a number of tunes, which I think some momentum got kind of cut because of the pandemic. Do you know what I mean? So it's like I had this, I'd done Her Name Is, and then the next tune was Already Know You, which was this a tune that was about um knowing somebody in other lives, and like the video was like this 1930s video where we all dressed up in those old school kind of like clothing, and it was black and white, and we had a whole storyline of uh me trying to take Mr. Joseph's girl, but do you know what I mean? And then at the end of the video, it was like me and this girl had been reincarnated into modern day time, and then we come and we see each other, and we're like, what? I think I think I already know you, kind of vibe, and that was it.
Oh, that's a wicked concept, man. So did this ever happen, or are you saying that this didn't happen because of circumstances
But
at
the
the time,
video,
like this
no, no,
didn't
no, no,
come to
no, no,
fruition?
no.
Yeah.
Sorry, the video did happen.
Right.
So
Okay.
the video happened, the tune happened, it all came out, and all of that type of stuff. But what I'm saying is like momentum wise, in terms of like I wasn't able to go out and perform the tune how I wanted to, and like really push the agenda of what had wanted to do because of the pandemic, and us only being able to do sit down raves and things kind
I
of
get you.
put
I
on
get you.
hold for a couple of years.
Yeah, man. Do you know what? Two words, I've got a pad here, and two words I wrote down this morning when I was listening to some of the tracks that we're literally talking about right now.
Yeah,
I wrote down love songs.
love songs. Yeah.
How do you feel about me writing down love songs? Is that an accurate description of some of what you do?
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, love songs. Wrote like it's hilarious. Like a lot of people like say, "Yo, ill, what you're always on this romance thing, man." I'm like, if you get those liquid beats, yeah, liquid soulful beats, it's about the soul. You're talking about deep and meaningful things, and like I make a case on those tunes to be like a storyteller. You know what I mean? I want to be able to hit audiences of people who are not into drums. So like I'm giving you R&B, D&B. That's what I'm giving you on those tracks. I wanted to call it I wanted to call it neo liquid. And again, like what I'm bringing into it, my tunes is a sense of like culture. Like I want this to encompass kind of like what I'm about, what my roots are about. My roots are very much drenched in your soul, hip hop, um, reggae, um, bashment vibes. That's what I was into before as a raver, before I kind of like stepped over to be an MC in jungle drum and bass. And a lot of the crowd that went away um at the time for our scene, I want them to listen to my music and be able to be like to be connected to the scene again through that, because a lot of a lot of people left our scene when the music kind of changed, and when a lot of soul, a lot of that stuff was pulled out. So uh, we had quite a more of a diverse kind of scene, whereas the our scene is not really diverse, and I think because the music is not the music ultimately is not diverse enough to be able to connect with those audiences. But when you've got artists like me who've been there kind of like from I'm not there from the beginning, but I'm there from I'm there from the time of when I was in this corner, uh, mosh pitting in hip hop raves and going to the soul and R&B dances, to hearing General Levy in those dances. I'm like, what the fuck? And then a lot of the people who were in those dances went over into jungle. So they was in
Yeah, yeah.
people who was in hardcore, people who was in acid, all and it was all a melting point pot for that time, because before that time the raves was you could call them like minimal kind of like segregation. Like white people had their dance, hardcore disco or whatever you want to call it. Blacks were going to real ragga bashment dances where you go into that dance, you see two or three white people, usually the girls, not even the men. You wouldn't really see the men in those dances, and I've lived it, so I can. What I'm telling you is that London wise, that is what it was. It was almost like there was segregation when it came to like going out, but like jungle changed that. But some people stayed in the R&B dance. They thought, what jungle? That sounds like devil music, blood. What the hell is that? Yeah, they stayed there. But I was like, okay, I'm coming over. But as I came over, it was only a few months as a kind of fan. It was only a few months as a fan. Then I was straight like, yo, I'm making tapes. And then all of a sudden, bam, I'm on pirate radio. I'm I'm in as as an artist. So like musically, I feel like a responsibility when I'm doing that to kind of like hit those audiences as well. And I think it's just part of who I am. Like sometimes I've had advice on my tracks from people saying, "Yo, sounds a bit." I don't know whether some labels would take it because it almost sounds too urban, or it's too that side for drum and bass. And
But it's authentic to you, isn't it? And you can hear from just a quick listen to like the tracks you've put out in the last couple of years. It's very clear, like through the samples and the music, but also through your delivery, even the subject matter. Like this is kind of like heart on the sleeve business. Like when you listen to these tunes, you can really tell that you're digging, like you said, into that soul, that culture, this melting pot. It's there for people to hear as soon as they press play.
yeah, man, yeah. So yeah, so that's it. So um, at the moment,
One thing I wanted to ask you about is how important is collaboration to you? Because you know, this is far from an extensive list, but you know, just in the last couple of years, right? Genesis, Elijah, Track and Armani Rain, Sharona Knight. I think that's someone you work quite closely with. Siren Rivers.
yeah,
You know, like how important is it for you to connect and collaborate with other artists?
I think it's good because I feel like people bring their own flavors as well. Um, and I also like try and like I'll connect with people that I feel like I like their work. I like what they do. I like what they bring to the table, and I'm like, yeah, man, let's see if we can come together with some type of synergy and and bring some type of magic together. So, yeah, collaborations is pretty cool, man. I like that.
And when you, I'm always interested in this, you know, from an artist perspective myself, like with the collaborations, do you try and get in the room together so that you're there in person, like shared energy? Is that important to you, or is it just a case of logistically speaking, that's few and far between? Like, what's your preference, and how do some of these collaborations play out?
My preference is to be in the room together. I think my preference is to be in the room together, but my my vibe is like, okay, hear the beat, get a feel of it, work on it on your, on your own or whatever. I will do what I'm doing from my side, and then come together in the studio, and then you know what I mean, and then we can work together on the vibes from there. I think there's definitely been a lost art of a time of where you sat down in the studio with the producer from nothing is there, and
Okay, yeah, like from the moment of
from
inception, like
moment
the
yeah
building
moment
blocks.
of
Yeah.
inception. Like I done that on a collective track actually, probably about a few years ago. I Because sometimes I go to one of them to record vocals. So they had a session coming on, and they were doing something. So I was still in the studio, and they started putting beats together, and I was like, "Yo, let me hear that little bit of sample." I was like, "Ah, cool, 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 cool," and I just started writing while they were there, and that was probably one of the last times that I've done a track where it's from inception together. I like working like that, but I think that kind of art has gone. Do you know what I mean? It's not, we don't really do that as
Yeah,
much anymore.
I agree. But I've been speaking to some people recently, and I feel like that's something that's so important to me to try and reconnect with,
Yes.
even to the point where I'm thinking now that I've actually got to put my money where my mouth is in a, you know, not literally necessarily, but figuratively speaking, and stop and actually draw a line and say, no, I'm not going to do this track if it's a send me an MP3 file and I'll send you one back set up.
Yeah.
I'll only do it if we can get in. And obviously, what that kind of does to a degree is make you reevaluate, like, oh, how important is this project to me? Am I really going to dedicate some proper time and commitment and travel to their studio and this, that, the other?
Yeah.
Because then it makes you think you've got to, you know, it stops you. I think one thing I've noticed is it's very easy to say yes to everything.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And if you're going to say, right, do you know what? I'm only going to do this if we can. I'll tell you what, Mr. Producer, how about rather than me spit some bars over the track you've sent me, I'll tell you, I like your vibe. Let's link up, but let's build the track together. How about we co-produce it?
Yeah.
And then you see like a different type of energy. And, you know, realistically, not everyone's up for doing that, which is fine. But yeah, I think at some point you've got us, you know, I can have these conversations, even just in my life, I'm thinking, I might just stop doing all the send me an MP3 thing, and the next batch of tracks has to be done in
And
person.
it has to be, yeah. has to be done in person. Or I think something that I've also started doing recently is for because I think I went through that period of not saying like no to people when they were sending me stuff, but I'm only doing tracks now that kind of excite me. So if I hear the track and I'm instantly ready to write some bars to the track, or I'm instantly like there's some tracks I just hear it and I'm like, yo, or I'm like, yo, let me come back to that one, or I'm really feeling this one. I'm the if it if it doesn't really hit me, sometimes you need 3 or 4 listens with some stuff, but I'm not forcing tracks anymore. Like sometimes I would force a track, even when it's with like there's some producers you're like, oh, it's this producer, so yo, uh, I want to do it because it's this producer.
Like a tactical one.
Yeah, you know those tactical,
It's the tactical ones, yeah.
the tactical
Yeah, man.
recording.
I get ya. I hear that for sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The tactical collab.
The tactical collab. We've done it, man. There's tactical collabs. There's tactical bookings. There's there's pure tactical stuff that you have to do to operate in this scene, man.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. But I tend to find, I don't know if you would agree, that the tactical ones, especially like tactical collabs, they don't tend to lead to like a fulfilling piece of music or something that you sort of listen back to with a sense of like glee and excitement. It's like, oh yeah, that was one that I thought would get me all these bookings or this like entry to this label, and it's like,
Yeah.
nah.
It doesn't happen. It doesn't always happen like that. Just letting you know that I'm still cool because I'm still cool if you're still cool.
Yeah, man.
You still cool?
Yeah, all good, bruv. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
All right. Good.
So listen, one thing. In a minute, I want to move on to talking about vocalize.
Yeah. Cool.
But there's one thing I noted down earlier, because it brought back some proper memories. He did a track called "Outside."
Outside, yes.
Yeah, that the sample. Well, it's not really a sample because it's it's kind of been resung and it's like a rework of a sample almost. But it proper took me back, mate, to the the tune. I think it was by oh god, it's just gone out of my head. But it was on the Above the Rim soundtrack.
Yeah.
I remember when we
Yeah,
used to, oh mate, and it proper took me back to like my teens, like sitting around my friend's house smoking.
Yeah.
And but then I realised as I was listening to it, I instantly recognised the sample, but I realised it was like a tweak and some of the lyrics have been changed. So it's not actually a sample, is it? I don't know what you would call that,
Yeah.
a rework or
Yeah. It's a it's a rework of those lyrics, and it's funny because I thought at the time I thought that was the original song, the one from the 90s, the one that you're talking about. But that's not the original song. There's
well, even that version
even
isn't
that
the original.
version is not the original.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh right. So what's the original then?
that's terrible because I can't.
Like it's what? It's from back in the day, like
Yeah, yes,
like from
it's
the
back in the day, so it's like I think it's a 70s, it's a 70s tune done by a male by a male singer.
really,
Yeah,
mate. That's interesting because obviously the one from Above the Rim, I just associated with Above the Rim,
yeah.
but talking about smoking the blunt, sipping on the
Sipping on
Heineken.
the Heineken, yeah.
So they've taken the one from the 70s or
Yeah,
whenever it was, and they flipped it.
so they flipped it, and what we done is that we flipped it with the 70s one and with the 90s one, and then changed up the lyrics, obviously to fit drum and bass for the female vocal part, and then you've got the rap. Then you got the rap part from myself, which just
Yeah, it's a wicked tune, man. Anyone listening to this at the moment, like obviously after you finish listening to this episode,
yeah.
go and check out that tune Outside,
Outside.
and so you can hear what we're talking about.
That was with Sharifa Shy Elside produced it, and Sharifa Shy The So Solid tune with Swiss Cry.
Really? Well, mate, that was a massive tune on Channel U.
Yeah, yeah, yes. That was it's with
Wow.
with
Yeah.
that singer as well.
Insane. Okay. I love all these insights, proper like behind the scenes
Yeah,
stuff.
man. Nah, she's wicked singer. She's a
That's sick.
wicked. She's sick, like a real sick singer. And I've got
So when you work with her, for instance, or some of the other vocalist singers that you work with, do you have a part to play in the writing of the lyrics and or the kind of design of the melodies? Like, is it a collaboration to that extent?
yeah. Usually, what I would do is like I was quite hands-on with some of the quite of the like the first number of vocal tunes that I've done with vocalists. I will be like, right, I'll have melodies. This is the melody that I've got. This is the way that I want to go. Um, so I have that approach. There's some people I'm like, so it sometimes it depends. So then there'll be other tracks I've done with Sharona where I'm like, all right, here's this. This is what I've got. Sharona will be like, she'll be like, yeah, that's cool, or she might be like, nah, that's whack. That's dead. I don't. Um, I'm not on that. And maybe she'll come up with something herself. And then and then or we'll collab. And the same with like Sharifa, I will be like, all right, this is what I've done already. Take that away, bring it back, do what you got to do, and then if I like it, I like it. If I don't, then I'm not. Then I'm not. Maybe show it to the producer as well and see what they think. Then it's a real mix and match and mesh and then just comes together. But yeah,
So you almost play the role of a conductor to a degree in the sense that you're steering the ship. The creative vision is coming from you.
percent. Like if you listen to my tracks and you compare them with the producers that I've worked with, you'll even though it's a different producer, a lot you'll be like, oh, this is still the kind of like you can tell this is the Illmatica kind of formula or the way that it's going. And like a lot of the time, I'll have a lot of back and forths with producers because I'm like I've got this vision of what I want it to sound like in my head. I know that drum and bass has got a particular format. I know there's some producers are like, oh, it's gotta be this way, it's gotta be this structure, you gotta have enough time for the DJ to be able to mix it in, gotta have enough time for the DJ to be able to mix it out. Gotta I'm like, listen, I'm doing an artist track. It's for the artist, it's for the vocalist. Like this is the vocalist story. It's like the grime guys doing the tune. This is the vocalist's story. It's not the producer's rave, boom, 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 in a rave story. It's for the vocalist. Like, you lot have not allowed the drum and bass vocalist to become superstar artists because you've wanted to control you've wanted to control the whole thing. Like we're still doing it now. We're doing it with and this is I'm not no sight on them or being bad or anything like that. But I'm just want to show like chasing status, for instance, right? The focus on badder man, that is chasing status. Yes, fantastic production, but in a sense, that is what's his name again? What's the name of the artist again who are on that track?
Ira,
I
Trigger,
I
Flowdan.
Trigger Flow that. Like from that track, we want to see really albums, boom, 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 of those guys going about you know what I mean? Like not the but instead what we see is the focus on chasing status. So, and that is a story that has amplified around drum and bass. Like the same way grime has got Dizzy Rascal, Wiley, Skepta, Bam, Bam, Bam. All these guys and all of these, you know what I mean? People have gone on to do stuff in other areas, or they've become movie stars. They've gone into television. They've come to all of that type of stuff. That has been stopped in drum and bass, and I feel like there's enough artists who are talented enough for that to have happened. So that's why.
Yeah. I love this. I love this topic of conversation. Why is that? I was trying to work this out in my own head the other day, but I really want to hear what your thoughts are on it. But is this like is it like nature nurture? By which I mean, do artists in drum and bass feel limited because the kind of collective consciousness of drum and bass makes them feel limited, or are they being no, actually let me wheel and come again. Are they being limited by the drum and bass scene, or the artists limiting themselves? And if they're limiting themselves, is that because it's almost like a collective consciousness of, oh, we're in drum and bass, but we sort of know our place, so we better not push it too far because we're in this scene. Does that make sense?
No, it makes sense. I think what it is that there hasn't been enough artists within the drum and bass scene um doing this kind of like full vocal videos. And I keep on saying ecosystem. This seems to be my favorite word for this recording. There hasn't been enough in the past, and producers who were supporting it to almost like create this almost like little kind of like sub genre of a scene to then blow into something else. So let's get it right. Garage, if you remember Wiley's tune, Garage, I don't care about Garage because I used their own scene to make my own sound, right? Because he went in and said 140, yeah, that's me. This is the sound. We've created something else, but all of the kids are grabbing onto to do that. And then we've got that. Drum and bass is the same. Right now you've got right now you've got verbs making his tracks and that with Dogger and Mindstate and Zara and them people. You've got me who was doing it from 2018 with Mr. Joseph and then people all of you've got Genesis Elijah now making these amount of tracks. You've got this girl called Catching Cairo who's doing stuff. You've got a bunch of the girls. I call these kind of like drum and bass arena type vibes, commercial sounding tunes, doing their stuff over there with that commercial. You know what I mean? A commercial type sound. Do you know what I mean? So you've got a lot more people doing it. I believe maybe by this time next year, you've got people who are coming into the scene looking at it now and believing that's what it's like, or not knowing that this is like it's evolving right now. And you've got a new generation of producers who are not saying, uh, uh, this is gonna take the shine away from me.
Yeah, yeah. They're not seeing the MC or the artist as an accessory to them.
Nah,
These are not DJ tools. These are songs by
these are
artists.
songs by artists. It's the mind. I think it's the mindset of the producer. So you've got producers who make tunes and saying, "Yeah, come make a tune with me, but this is my tune."
Okay, I wanna hear your thoughts on this. I've got another little philosophy, if that's the right word that I was thinking about again. So now, as I'm saying this, you're actually an exception to what I'm about to say.
Right.
But go with it, and then give me your thoughts, because I don't know if I'm right or not. I'm just kind of talking out loud. I'd love to hear your view on this. So it looks to me sometimes that producers are much more excited or open to working with people that are not from the drum and bass scene.
Yeah.
They could be a hip hop MC, grime MC, something like that. And I was thinking the other day, and it almost loops back to what I said a minute ago, is that are some of these people viewed as being like more exciting to work with because they have embraced their artistry more because they're from outside of the DnB scene, and therefore they've always seen themselves as an artist within their own right, and they bring that free, creative, artistic energy into the world of drum and bass, and the producers are like, yeah, of course I want to work with that grime artist or that hip hop guy or girl, whoever, because they're sick. And the people that are in drum and bass, like the MCs, inverted commas, that have been here for decades,
Yeah.
are just seen as like, and obviously I don't know the answer to this. I'm just kind of thinking out loud. Do some of the producers think, why would I want to work with that guy? He's an MC, just MCs at raves like he's done for the last 20 years. Like, I want to work with someone who's an artist. So it's almost like, are the MCs within the drum and bass scene seen as being limited? Is it like more exciting to work with someone who kind of like fully embodies an artist who doesn't have like genre specific boundaries?
Yeah.
I suppose a different way to put it is like, have drum and bass MCs, I'll include myself in this, by the way, like put ourselves into a box that is not very appealing to the producers within our scene.
Yeah.
And it's more exciting to work with someone who isn't in a box and is an artist who quite often tend to be from a different genre.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think that we've been painted MC wise like accessories to the music. So we're like the side dish. It's like, come in, introduce me, compliment the music, and as you've complimented the make music, you make good party. You know what I mean? It's like, compliment the music, you make good party, and then be quiet, and then mwah, wonderful. You're an accessory. And and psychologically, it's done everywhere. It's done through flyers, like some flyers, you know what I mean? Big name MC font, little bit lower, blah blah blah. You're an accessory, right? Okay. So people outside of the scene now, grime artists, for instance, now have gone on and they've done almost like they've done the groundwork, and they've created a profile for themselves which is above commercially and popularity wise, which is almost like above. You can almost say it numbers wise, it's maybe above the drum and bass scene as a whole. So then the producer in the drum and bass scene will get excited by that and will be excited by the clout of it as well. So that clout brings extra numbers, that profile, boom, stick that on. So we'll come together, and so I think that's kind of what it is. I think possibly not enough drum and bass MCs had been thinking about themselves as artists straight away. I know a lot of people right now who, like, they're starting to spit on tracks, and I'm asking, like, where's the performance? Where's where is the rush for you to go out and perform that track as an artist? Like, hide away between don't hide away in these beats. If you're calling yourself an artist, I want to see you come and perform that tune. Hide underneath your cap either. Come and perform this tune. Be exposed. Like, make yourself vulnerable. That's where possibly some of us on the scene do need to catch up.
Yeah, man. I feel what you're saying, and part of me, like, just for the almost like a devil's advocate thing. I love this topic because there's so many different spins of it.
100%.
Because historically, like it's the role of the MC chops and changes a bit, but historically, the MC has been there to be the conduit between the DJ
Yes.
and the crowd, and that is part of what we do. You've got, like, any decent MC.
Yep.
Needs to have that in the toolkit.
100.
Like, I talk about hosting and stuff, like, sometimes, like, I never talk about it like it's a derogatory thing. You need to be a good host. If you can't host, that's a vital tool that's missing from your kit.
Yes.
But I think, yeah, to your point, I think some MCs have got stuck in the hosting bracket, but there's other avenues that could be explored. Now, just because you're an MC, does that mean you have to become an artist? No, we're not saying. Well, I'm not saying
No,
that.
you don't.
You can be an MC. You can be a sick ass host and an MC, and don't be an artist. That's cool as well. Like, this isn't about saying, oh, well, every MC has to be an artist, like it's an elitist thing. If you're not an artist, you're just an MC. No, I'm not saying that.
Yeah, exactly. No.
What I'm saying is, and this is almost like kind of to your point, is that yes, like, if we're going to call ourselves artists, doing an 8-bar lyric before the drop of a tune, it doesn't really make you an artist per se. And again, there's nothing wrong with doing 8-bar lyrics before the drop of a tune. Fuck me, I've done enough of those things over the years. But yes, what you're saying is right. How are you going to embody that? How are you going to bring it to life? How are you going to be able to say with your chest out, yeah, man, this is me as an artist, this is my tune? Like, how can we up the levels with that?
How can we up the levels of, like, oh, this is me, this is my tune?
Well, yeah, I'm just sorry. It was almost like a rhetorical question, really. I was just thinking, like, we need to be able to elevate it now beyond. I feel like there's kind of like all these different steps and stages and roles. We've got, like, the kind of hosting MC at one end, through to the fully fledged artist at the other, who wouldn't even call themselves an MC, arguably.
Yep.
They're an artist. And then somewhere in the middle, you've got MCs that are doing vocals on tracks.
Yeah.
And there's all these little stepping stones in between, which is great. That's the point of what I'm saying to a degree, is that's great.
Yeah.
This is all good stuff.
Yeah, I think.
So what I'm interested in is, like, what do you need to do if you're someone who is an MC who's got bars on a tune? What are the stepping stones from that to being an artist on stage, actually performing music?
Yeah, I think that you start doing projects. You start doing things like, yo, here's an EP of mine. All right, here's another 4-track EP of mine. Then you're like, yo, I want to go out and I want to perform these EPs. I want to get myself a DJ. I want to perform these EPs. I want to go out. I want to perform them. And then when you're doing that, then you're elevating yourself, because you're presenting I'm presenting my body of work. Okay, I'm not spitting on just a Dillinger's one of Dillinger's, like, baddest tunes, and then that's forgotten in that moment. Like, I've got bars, places that I MC'd in 2007 that no one remembers that lyric that I dropped in 2007 at that rave, other than the people that was there. Yeah? But then I've got a tune that I put bars on that we're talking about, that I made in 2007. And you're like, yo, I remember how I felt when I saw that. That was you then. And guess what? When I'm dead, my daughter will be able to go and see that tune and say, yo, that was my dad. That was the legacy of what he put together. Now, you don't have to do that. It's cool. You can just be, you can, and I don't mean to be just be. You can MC, and you can say that's the role. That's what I do, because you know what? Not everybody is the best MC. Not everybody is the best artist. Some people are really good at the artistry. You put them in a rave, and you put them in a rave, and I'm watching them in the rave, and I'm like, yo, this guy is not as effective in holding the crowd and holding this dance down as he is on a track and his bars. This guy is a better writer of songs. This guy is a better writer of bad man lyrics in the rave. Anytime he just touches down in the rave and says that lyric, hey! But that guy who is a top barrer and intricate with the lyrics on the song, when he comes in the rave, I'm like, yeah, but no, I'm not hype for that. And we've got all of these different facets within this thing. Like, I can talk to you about, there's guys in drum and bass right now, but I will listen to their tunes and I will listen to their lyrics, and I'm like, yo, what you're saying on this tune is actually good. It's thoughtful, it's thought provoking, it's hitting my mind in different angles. But then I would listen to you again in the rave, and I'm like, I'm bored. Like, I don't care about you. And that's the exact same things and opinions that people could be having about even myself as an artist, or as an MC, as well, because
Yeah, of course, because this is all subjective,
subject.
and everything that you've just said very eloquently, by the way, and this is the beauty of what we do,
Yeah,
and this is the beauty of MC culture and music as a whole.
100.
One thing you just said, I just want to pick up on before I forget,
Yeah,
is that I'm really glad that you mentioned it to flip it from the other perspective. Is that someone an someone who's an artist with a very successful career in inverted commas and all the metrics and all the rest of it, yeah, that doesn't mean that they can smash up a rave or go on a stage and bring a crowd to life, because you get studio artists as well. Do you know what I mean? So like everything you just said there, and it made me think as well at some point of some MCs, some artists, because some people do cross the lines of, or blur this all together very neatly.
mm,
DWE
mm,
can just stand on stage in a rave and just make a noise and batter it.
100%.
And yeah, this everything you've just said and what is running through my mind now is the reasons why I love this music thing that we're involved in, this MC driven music.
Yes, no, definitely.
But yeah, the way you wrapped that up there was,
Yeah, man. No, you're
yeah,
right. Like,
was on
he
point.
can stand in he can stand in a rave, and he can he can really batter it. Um,
But would you? But as you know, like you wouldn't sit at home in your chair with your headphones on, like really getting deep into the latest DWE EP or album, because that's not what he does. It's not some kind of like deep poetical spiritual
no,
journey. It's
it's
bars, but they hit on different levels, and yeah, you know,
exactly
that's the beauty of it.
exactly. Like, and that's again different facets. Somebody who's kind of like elevated themselves in that kind of area is like someone like Gets, for example. Like,
Yeah,
I'd
yeah,
listened to his material recently, and I hadn't realized how deep actually the guy has gone in terms of his artistry. Like, I remember him, in the early days and stuff where
just raw as fuck, just
more and hype.
on the roadside, spitting into the camera, just like
Yeah, but yeah,
ghetto. He was ghetto. That's why he's called ghetto, isn't it? And now he's gets.
exactly. And now he gets them, but like the evolution of him as an artist, you can really hear that. So like when like bringing it back to myself, like as a drum and bass artist, yes, you can hear me in some of these raves, but actually I've got a body of work, and I would say I would say that I have not actually done enough. Like, not done enough in terms of the amount of work that I've got, but I haven't put out, but I'd done at the time, and that there wasn't the means to really get it out the way that I can now. Um, you can really get to know what I'm about through my music.
Yeah, yeah. Bruv, I want to bring this to a bit of a conclusion purely just because I'm literally sticking to the chair in here because it is so hot. Um, there's two more things I'd like to touch on. And what we talked about really leads us into this is
Yeah,
Vocalize. So Vocalize is a label because I've seen that you put out music on or releases on Vocalize
yeah.
Music, but it's also a night that takes place in South London, in Brixton. So give us a flavour of Vocalize,
Um,
what it's all about.
okay. Vocalize is an event that DJ wise it focuses on the urban side of jungle drum and bass, if you want to say, like the almost like the liquid soul side. So my ethos when I speak to DJs is that anything that relates to hip hop, soul, um, bashment, treat it as a almost like a R&B rave, but DnB tempo. That's the music that I personally want to hear. I don't want to hear tunes that don't have rhythm. I don't want to hear tunes with noisy tunes. I want to hear gritty bass lines and everything that gets people going, but it's all about groove, melody, and almost like the urbanization of liquid soul. That's the strict policy for but the DJ side. The artist side of it is that we always make sure that we have like 2 hours or an hour and a half of artists performing their tracks, artists within the drum and bass sphere, those who have been putting out tunes on labels and things like that. This is the forum that you come so people can get to know you more as a performer, an artist, and not just as somebody who is playing your tune um, on the radio, because they can't always play your full vocal tune again in a rave because they think that it's going to dim down the vibe because it's not doesn't fit within a DJ set. So Vocalize is like shining a light on the artists within our scene, basically.
So this is a live platform for everything that we've just been talking
Yeah,
about.
basically.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. For people to come and bring their artistry and performance to the stage.
Yes, 100.
So who would give us a flavour of some of the artists that have passed through in previous events?
Genesis Elijah, Loxy and Ink came down, and they done their tune Manifested Visions. They came down. Obviously, you've got myself, ACMC, Sharona Knight, Sharifa. We've got Colette Warren and Ria coming down to the next one. A guy called Dwayne the Poet. Um,
Dwayne the Poet. So is that like a spoken word thing? Is that like a slightly different flex,
yeah,
or what does he do?
yeah. So he's kind of like a spoken word flex. He used to do back in the day. He used to do jungle drum and bass. He was a jungle drum and bass MC back in the day. Back in the day, he was known as like Lethal MC on Rinse FM, and then he went on to do grime with like Terror Danger and Bruiser and them man there. So he's a really talented guy. He was like one of those guys who I think was supposed to really blow on the jungle scene, but then he went over to grime at the time. But so he's coming down to do a bit of a flex as well. So it's really that space for those type of artists to come just for people to get to know you more as an artist. And what I want people to do is like say, oh, Vocalize is coming up. Who's on the lineup doing PAs? Okay, let me go to Spotify and check out their tunes. Okay, let me come
Yeah.
and see them live as well. So
A bit like it's a bit like a concert philosophy to a degree.
yes,
It's not. It doesn't. The way you're describing it, it's not like a typical drum and bass rave / club night.
no, it's not. It's like what you get is like you'll get the normal format of the DJs, and then that format stops for an hour and a half or 2 hours, and you just watch performance after performance after performance. Then it flips back into the normal format that we know of DJ and then
Sick.
MC.
And that's pretty unique. Like that. There's not.
Sorry, I
I
also
don't know, man. I got
sorry, I forgot
gone.
Lorna King as well, and
Okay.
Kaya Fire
Wicked.
as well.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, I can't think of any other event off the top of my head that is doing that so strategically, and putting the artist, the MC, the vocalist into the limelight. So yeah, big up, man. Fair play.
Yeah, man.
That's sick. That's sick.
People should come down to it. These things are quite hard to put on.
Mm.
They have their limitations. They can be quite costly to do. I'd be for the sake of authenticity with this, like artists are really working with me in the sense of to be able to make it happen as well. Because sometimes with the artists on the scene, sometimes the artist does it's not enough pull in terms of people coming through the door sometimes with the artists because we don't put so much value on the artists within the scene. We haven't promoted them to be stars of their own right a lot. So sometimes you have to use the DJs to kind of like pull in as well the numbers to pull in the crowd. But I believe like the more emphasis and kudos we give to artists being successful in their own right, you'll be able to do an event that just says, right, this artist are all performing, and then the DJs are there as well, but we're bigging up the artists. Big them up, man,
Yeah,
with
man.
vocal eyes.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm glad you pointed that out because anyone listening, yeah, it's EYES as in vocal eyes. Little play on words,
Oh.
like that name, man. Where can people go to, check out Vocalize and connect with you? Where can you direct people to hear more, to see more?
To see more, just go on to Instagram, man. We got a vocalize page. Check that out, so you'll be able to see all of the events that have taken place, the artists involved, doing more work for the label going forward as well. Professionalize that now. I've got a label manager. Want to work on a vocalized album as well with various artists. Yeah, so gonna keep on pushing that space, but I need more of a team around me to keep it moving because it's
Yeah, it's hard. It's
hard.
it's hard doing this stuff on your own,
Yeah,
isn't it? There's a lot to do. There's a lot to navigate, and yeah, that being part of a team and having that connection with others is important. But yeah, big up, man. You're putting your heart and soul into
yeah,
this,
man.
and yeah, I really rate it,
Cool.
brother. I've got a closing tradition on the podcast
Yes.
where I ask all my guests to design to pick their ultimate MC cipher. So the rules are pretty simple: past, present, alive or dead, any genre. You can't include yourself in it. Someone asked me that once, so I've kind of thrown that in there.
How how
And
how,
really, that
how many
is,
people do I get to choose?
yeah, 5.
5. Sorry. Okay.
So you need to tell me 5 names that if you're watching your ultimate dream cipher would get you excited and gassed.
Is this any genre?
Yeah. Any genre, dead or alive, past, present, you know.
Okay. Gonna get me excited, gonna get me gassed. Oh jeez. All right. Okay. This is too tough. Um okay. Black Thought, Hyper D, um P Money, um it's gotta be Nas. And the last person, jeez. Somebody that's gonna get me absolutely gassed. Mate, I don't think I can think I could I don't think I can think of anybody else.
Oh, come on, you can't just give me four. Okay, like, what if I directed you just out of like a slight selfishness because I want to hear who you would pick. What if I directed you and said, all right, cool. So we've got Black Thought, Hyper D, P Money, Nas. So we're covering like hip hop, we're covering jungle, we're covering grime. What if I said pick someone from the kind of bashment dancehall side of things that would just jump in that cipher and just mash it up?
Okay, from the bashment side of things, no, okay, no, okay. If it's bashment side of things, I would say okay, I'd say Dirty Dogs. I'd say Dirt. Yeah,
Okay,
I'd
okay,
say Dirty
sick.
Dogs, even though he's not bashment, but for he got the bashment style, and
Yeah, man.
if I'm thinking about somebody who was at the top of his game, somebody who was just like you look at him and you're like, oh my god, this guy is killing it. Yeah, him, Dirty Dogs.
Yeah, yeah, sick, sick. Yeah, I rate that. Big fan of him. He's one of them artists in it that you just think,
Yeah,
how? Like, how has he not like
yeah,
just conquered the world?
hundred, hundred, 100%.
What happened? But not to take away from his legacy, which is already sick, but he's like an underground legend almost.
Yeah.
And he deserves to be like a worldwide
Do you know what, Focus?
legend, you know?
Sometimes I like there's a few times I've wanted to put out a post, right, and say, but I think that some of the best MCs, and I mean really best MCs, do not MC anymore. Like we have lost along the way some really talented people, and what I mean by that, I almost want to give a story, kind of like onus to that. Actually, talent sometimes is not enough. Yeah, there's a lot of guys who are super talented, like better MCs, but they don't have certain things to sustain that talent for some reason. Like sometimes you need more than just talent. Sometimes you've got guys who are actually they might be a bit average, but they work. But actually they work. They're
Yeah, consistency. They got a good team around
yeah,
them. Also, right place, right
yeah,
time, situations,
yeah,
scenarios, call it what you will. But yeah,
yeah.
absolutely, man. Really good. Yeah, really good
But yeah,
point.
man. But I will let you go because I think we could still talk for ages and ages. And
Yeah, we
yeah,
could, man. We could definitely. There's a lot of things I haven't even touched on. But yeah,
really,
bruv, thank you so much for coming. Yeah, man. Like you know, there's loads we could get into, but we've captured a real essence of your story, things around artistry, around the culture. You know, so we've ticked most of the boxes that I was hoping we would
cool,
tick. But yeah, there's room for a part two for sure, man.
cool. Just out of
But bruv, big
just
up.
out of interest, what was the other thing that you wanted to touch on?
Well, not even like not necessarily specific topics. I just feel like there's even more to talk
Yeah.
about around like just I don't know like the role of the MC.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh,
You know what are you know we touched a little bit on like the toolkit of the MC
yeah,
toolkit, but what are the tools in the kit? You know what makes a good MC? Like what you know things around creativity, creative process, writing, performance, rituals.
yeah.
all the
None
stuff.
of
You know
that
what I
stuff.
mean?
Oh, oh yeah, truly. Yeah, I would have liked to get into some of those technical stuff as well. That would have been good. But yeah, another time.
Next time. We've been going 2 hours, so we've covered a lot. And the main thing I wanted to hear, mate, was your story and your thoughts and opinions on these topics. So yeah, big up. Thank you for coming on,
All
bruv.
good, bro. Nice one. Big up,
Speak to you
everybody.
soon.
Make sure that you listen in to Mike-minded people. Share it. Listen, we need more Mike-minded people in this scene. Boom!
Yeah, man. Come on. And if you're listening on Spotify and Apple, you can watch on YouTube and vice versa. If you want to connect, obviously you can check out Vocalize on Instagram, Illmatika on Instagram, and you can connect with like-minded people. And if you've got an ultimate MC cipher, I keep saying this, send me your ultimate MC ciphers as well. I'll read them out. I'll big you up. I'll give you a shout. But yeah, big up everyone that's supporting this. Vocalize, like-minded people, MC residents, other platforms out there that are doing this and supporting the culture. You know, we're all part of this big ecosystem. And on that note,
Peace.
big up, bruv.
Later, man.
Peace out.
All right, later.